Welcome, everybody, and welcome to y'all joining on YouTube. We are let's just right off the bat, this is a really good time for you to actually talk to a person that you know and say, do you want to come to church with me? Do you want to come to small group with me? Do you want to join us online, even if that's like the furthest that your comfort zone goes? Because this is the beginning of a new series. And so anytime we start something new, then it's a good time to kind of find your way in. We are in the new series called To Be Continued. Some of you are not old enough to recognize that TV or the font on there. But it's the old Looney Tunes font where it would go at the end. And I arduously spent some time making that with the little thing in the middle with the empty tomb and the old TV. Yeah, nobody really cares. Okay, at least Craig told me it was cool. But the point is that we went through quite a few weeks of the story of the last week of Jesus' life and those lesser known characters. And then you get to Easter and you're like, yay! Now what? The tomb is empty. To be continued. Like there's something more that happens. And so we will take a few weeks here and go from the beginning of Luke 24 into the beginning of Acts. So before the church starts at Pentecost, when Peter boldly proclaims this sermon that kind of brings people into the big fold of the church, something happens along the way. And so we'll kind of dissect bits and pieces along the way, because I think very often we go, Easter happened, Jesus rose, let's jump into what happened like 50, 60 days after that. And there's some stuff that happened in between that I think we can learn from and that many of us can kind of empathize with and find our way along. So this morning, I got the whiteboard out because we're going to do a few things on it. First off, what I think will be helpful for us is I need y'all to converse with the people around you to your comfort level and tell me what are things, and I will tell you right off the bat, this is not a trick question, this is not something, what are things that we religious folks do? What are things that faithful people do? What are things that those of us that are Christians, what are things that we do that kind of lives out that faith or that is a part of that? So think about that for a second. And the reason I got to give you a few minutes to do that is so that y'all on YouTube can actually join in the conversation and then write it in, and I will be able to see it down below. So, ready, set, go. 48 seconds. 43. Okay, who's got one? Pray. Did I hear a pray? Pray. Dear sweet baby Jesus. Say that again, Ed. Treat others as I would want to be. Ah, yes. I know that looks like a run-on word, but that's how the Greek looks in the original manuscripts. So, what else? Serve. Read the Bible. Yes, that's the book for me. Bible. Yeah. Y'all are doing that right now. It's okay to say that one. Witness. Can I get a witness? Witness. And then I got something on the YouTube stream. We got gather together. There's a lot more white space. Say that again. Sing. Oh, yes. I don't know how the end of that works. Say that again. ABLE. Wednesday night? What else?
Say God bless you when somebody sneezes.
Not just bless you. God bless you, because I wouldn't want your medieval scared soul to escape from your body. Oh.
Take care of each other.
I'm running out of that. Give me some more. Forgiveness. I got a couple on the stream. Give me 1 second. I got a youth group. And I got a disciple. And I got a Crystal Peterson, of course. She's the one that leaves like a paragraph comment. Hi, Crystal. Live out life and work with Christ-like character, especially to those who interact outside of the body. I can't fit that all on here. Live it. Fasting. No, Kish, this is not how you run quicker. Any more? Communion, not a boy. Last call. Care. I like care. Ash Wednesday. Yeah, okay. Any more? Look at that. You gone and used the trust Jesus word. Believe in Jesus. Okay, I know you got more. I'll check and see if there's any more online. Nope, Crystal didn't even say mean things to me for calling her out for saying the longest comment ever. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to come back to this, and I need a volunteer. I'll let it be Sam. Just later, not now. I'll tell you when. So we're going to come back to this. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pray for us so that we can jump into the book of Luke. Spirit, I ask that this morning that you would speak and you would speak in a way that demands our attention. That the busyness of the things happening this afternoon, the busyness of the things that happened the week before, the busyness of even the youth auction would not matter because you are speaking. That we would hear your voice louder than all the others. So Jesus, like you did a few thousand years ago, speak to us. Amen. Luke 24. Now, I will tell you what we will do, kind of just to move our way through this, is I'm going to actually, CP and I don't do, how many of y'all are in a small group? Some of y'all need to get in a small group, right? The questions, you're actually going to get some of these questions as an overlap, so you get a starter for your small group afterwards. Even though CP and I don't coordinate these whatsoever, like literally he comes in and goes, do you have like a scripture passage or an idea of where you're going yet? And I'm like, dude, it's Thursday, give me some time. He has to have them done on Friday, yeah. So some of this will help you, but what I will tell you is we're going to read in some chunks, and so we're going to go a few chunks at a time, and what I want you to do is identify kind of the people involved, okay? On the first day of the week, very early in the morning, so this is first day of the week, don't think Monday like those of us Western world people. Sunday is the first day of the week. On the first day of the week, very early, as the sun is rising, literally early, where most of you don't get to see unless you came from the farming era, they took the spices that they had prepared and went to the tomb. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb, but they entered, and they did not find the body of the Lord Jesus. While they were wondering about this, suddenly two men in clothes that gleamed like lightning stood beside them. In their fright, the women bowed down with their faces to the ground, but the men said to them, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here. He has risen. Remember how he told you while he was still with you in Galilee? The Son of Man must be delivered over to the hands of sinners, be crucified, and on the third day be raised again." Then they remembered his words. Okay, so tell me who's in this. Don, you need a battery. You're glowing red. Who are the characters in here? Just from what you read. Just from what you read. We'll get to more specifics, but say it louder. You had too many.
The women.
Thank you. How do you know that they're the women? The literal translation just says they. Over and over and over again. I left one in the middle that says women. The NIV tells you because they think you're too stupid to figure it out, but it literally says they. They went, they brought this, they. Now, we'll get to more of that in a little bit, but so we got the ladies, and then what else do we have? You got some guys that are over here. And this is a theme in Luke. Luke does this all the time. If you read through the Gospel of Luke, he likes things in pairs. So it's not just one angel, it is, and I will tell you, this was presumably an angel. We have two men that are presumably angels in the sense of the true form of messengers, bringing some sort of message from God. And they are like Marvel superheroes. Lightning. I spelled it wrong. Never mind, that's the southern style. Lightning. They got the lightning clothes. Okay, so that's all we know at this point, right? It's not a trick question. Like, yes. What I'm trying to convey to you is this stuff is rather simple, that you just take a few moments and you go, oh, okay. So now we get to verse 9. When they came back from the tomb, they told all of these things to the 11 and to all the others. See, it was Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary the mother of James, and the others who were with them who told this to the apostles. But they did not believe the women, because their words seemed to them like nonsense. Crazy talk. Okay, now who do we have? We got the 11. And who else? You can't whisper when I stand up front. Either my hearing is going worse, or you're just too used to wearing your mask and people not hearing what you say anyway. So we get specifics of who the women are, and you didn't even fulfill. How many are there? How many women are there? At least, yes, because it says Mary, Joanna, Mary, and the others. Who else is in this group? Not specifically the women, but... So we got the 11, which are sometimes called the apostles, and he gives specificity. And who else? We'll include Peter in here too, but we can say Pete, even though you don't know that from this section yet. If you don't catch this small little thing, the whole entire middle of the chapter makes no sense whatsoever. All the rest. Who is the rest? Right? Now think about how many times you've heard the story and you go, oh, there's 11 people crammed in a little room with the door locked, right? Well, no, there's 11 guys that are the apostles crammed in a room with others. And then there's some ladies and they give you some specific names. And then, oh yeah, well, there's some others in there too. So suddenly the group is bigger and bigger and bigger. So they're not just renting out a real small room. They've got significant space. Now, let's go a little bit further. Verse 12, here's where we get to Pete. Peter, however, got up and ran to the tomb. Bending over, he saw the strips of linen lying by themselves, and he went away. He wondered to himself what had happened. Now, here's what we'll do now. Let's just say outside of the Lightning Brothers, Sons of Thunder, Boys of Lightning, outside of them, what happens to these characters in the midst? So what happens to the ladies and the apostles and all the others? What are things that you can tell me from this section?
Well, we're all very surprised.
Surprised. What else? Say that again. And I would raise you to crazy talk. I didn't actually look up the Greek to that, but I should look, like whether it means like mumbling things or like being a person that talks gibberish. Nonsensical. It didn't make sense to them. And then I had a doubtful. There's one thing that they all have in common, and you're going to desire not to say what it is, but it's very blatant if you just read it at face value. Unbelief. They didn't believe. How many of you thought that that's how the beginnings of the church start? The empty tomb happens, and what happens? They don't believe it. The ladies go to the tomb, and what happens? They don't believe it. Why are you here looking for the living among the dead? What? Now, before we get too much further, I need to address something very simple here. Is many times I've heard this passage as far as readings, commentaries, and even sermons, that this passage is all about the women. Have you heard that before? Most of you haven't heard that at all. Okay, well, many times that is what gets pointed out. And especially in our culture today where there is a struggle or a perceived struggle that the world is trying to tell you that there's division between men and women and races and all of these sort of things. Here I am to tell you that even a few thousand years ago, while it is validating that Luke uses the ladies, let's just back up a little bit. And so we go from the empty tomb and you back up just a little bit. At least Carol smiled when I did that. Luke 23. Now the women who had come with Jesus from Galilee followed Joseph of Arimathea. And he saw the tomb where his body was laid in it. Then they went home and prepared the spices and perfume, but they rested on the Sabbath in obedience to the commandment. So what we find is we have empty tomb in Luke 24. You back up just a little bit, and the ladies were there at the tomb. They saw Jesus' body in the tomb. Now, we don't get the details that John gives us about Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus and them actually doing all the preparation work, because by the time the ladies get there, it's too late. But let's back up just a little bit further of why this is important. So we'll look at John because he gives us a little info. Now near the cross of Jesus stood his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. Then Jesus saw his mother there and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, and he said to her, "Woman, here is your son." And to the disciple he said, "Here is your mother." And from that time on, the disciple took her into his home. Now, the point that I'm making here is not that Luke cares so much that it is women that show up, but what he cares about is who was at the cross. The ladies were. And then who saw his body put in the tomb? The ladies were. So when they come, they're the first ones that should see it because they have seen the whole story unfold. All of it, beginning to end. But even in the midst of that, nobody believes. The disciples are gathered in their room with all the other disciples. Now you have to remember that you have the 3 that Jesus really likes, and then you have the 12 that are all gathered, and then you have the 72, and then the 72 gets more and more, and then you get all the people that like the free lunches. I mean, literally be sandwiched between feeding the 5,000 in Luke 9, feeds 5,000, and then the transfiguration where the 3 get to totally see who Jesus is. Sandwiched in between that is this little section that we hear, and the Son of Man has to be handed over to sinners, and he will be crucified. And after he's crucified, he will be raised again. Oh, just snuck that in there. But what that also tells you is all of the ladies and the other disciples were there when he said that, not just a few people. So they know this, and they still don't believe. All the disciples in the room are like, "Did you guys get a little too close to them spices this morning? Like, were you up too late? Huffing that stuff in? This is crazy talk. Dead people are dead." Now, we did see that one guy that came out of the tomb and he smelled kind of bad over by Bethany, but that was something somebody did to him. This was not a person bringing themselves back to life. Now, before you get a little too like, "Oh, come on, guys, you should have known better." Anybody see a person come back to life on their own? No, you don't. They're being practical. Literally, they're going, "That doesn't happen." But the struggle here is even Pete, like what Luke wants to paint it as kind of in between, he gets up immediately. And now we would think like he's like, oh, I believe you, I'm going to run and see. Or is it, I got to check this out for myself because I don't believe anybody. I'm going to go. I'll take a look. And he walks away going, what? Are you sure? Sam, you can come back up. And Kish, you can come up and help me. Before you wonder what's going on, we'll just move this over a little bit. Y'all are poised and ready. Okay, now what you have to do is you have to face them, not me. Put some of those on him. Be nice about it, though. See, here's what happens for most of us. This is where I'm drawing the connection between them and us. Is we start living through life, and this is totally going on your skin. It's okay, it doesn't hurt that bad. Just keep on putting them on there. And what we do when we start to begin faith is we see these things floating around in the world, and so we go, oh, got to go to church. That's kind of a big one. I should probably, read my Bible. And if you were a good Christian, you would read that very early in the morning for at least 15 minutes because that's what your parents did. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that you should actually get up every single morning and read for 15 minutes. It simply says, take time. So what we do is we start adding these little Band-Aids on because this kind of helps us feel better, right? No, I got you on your shirt there. And then what happens is after a little while is sometimes the big things, we don't have to do a lot of the big things, and so it's like, oh yeah, I should be kind. Just a little bit of kindness, a little bit of help. Here, that one right there. Flex it. Come on, flex it. Is he starting to look foolish yet? No? Okay, more Band-Aids.
I've been in more Band-Aids.
More Band-Aids. You've been in more Band-Aids. This is one of those things where if you don't have small children or if you've not experienced what matters to small children is it doesn't matter how big the cut or microscopic. If you put a Band-Aid on it, it gets better, right? What? And you have to kiss it, yeah. I ain't gonna kiss you. Sorry. We might get a lot more views on YouTube if we did. And so then eventually you're like, oh, well, I guess we should do that like Ash Wednesday service. And we start adding them on, the big things sometimes and the little things. And the reality is what's underneath hasn't really changed. After you're done with that one, then you can just let it. I thought you were fast. There you go. Oh, you put them on perfect, so they'll stay. So we walk around, and to the rest of the world, this is what we look like. And some of you go, huh? Why do you think the world thinks that hypocrites are Christians and Christians are hypocrites? Because we plaster all of the... You can go sit down. Thank you. We plaster all of these things on, and these are good things. Good things. But the struggle is deep down inside. You never walked in the tomb and left the dirty rags there. You never left the death, the pain, the struggle in the tomb to come out new. You go to the tomb and go, oh, it happened. And since I acknowledge that it happened, Jesus rose, right? I can mentally say that. I don't have any idea what that really means for me. So we should love each other, and I'll put that on. And we should pray more, so I'll put that on. And we should go to youth group, so I'll put that on. And I should probably serve somewhere because my kid is at that age now, so I'll put that on. And you just keep putting things on and putting things on, and more Band-Aids and more Band-Aids and more Band-Aids. And inside, your faith is hemorrhaging because it doesn't exist. What you have is stuff that you have covered yourself and your life and your family and everything around you with, but your belief isn't there. You are just like the disciples, the ones that walked along the sea, the ones that saw him walk on the sea, the ones that saw visions, the ones that saw people see for the first time, the ones that stood there when the demons cried out and Jesus goes, "What's your name?" And we all read that and think that, no, he was talking to the demons because there's like a legion of them, right? No! He tells the demons to be quiet all the time. He asks the man, "What's your name?" Because nobody else cares. We live in this place where we stick the Band-Aids on because we want to make sure that on the outside it looks good. And here's where you know that this is true for you. You get a cancer diagnosis. You get a family member not doing good. There's not enough money in the account. You scroll through your social media feed and all you feel is anxious and anxiety and struggle. And that's because, well, maybe we didn't pray enough. Well, maybe I didn't give enough money. Maybe I didn't serve enough. Maybe I didn't find enough things for the youth auction. Maybe I didn't put enough Band-Aids on. Oh, wait. That's not what it's about. Because what it's really about is you walking into the tomb and going, "He won. My angst, dead in the grave. My fear, dead in the grave. My struggle for what might come next for tomorrow, dead in the grave. All of it." Now all of a sudden, these things are freeing. They don't cover up your faith. They are. They are the thing that sets you free. They are the thing that when you are out and about, people know that there's something about you and you're not the hypocrite. Because these aren't cover-ups, because inside you're falling apart. These are you living into a faith that says, the enemy has been defeated. The grave thought it won. Saturday lurked, and Sunday came, and you found out that there is new life and life abundant. That you don't need all of these things to make you better. You need a real encounter with Jesus where you don't just think, "Oh yeah, he rose from the grave. Yeah, I believe that." Where you have that moment that you go, "I have no idea what that really means. I think I can logic it out. I think I can practically figure it out. I don't know how it happened, but what I do know is that the world changed for everyone that day, and I want a part of it. I want a part of it." Then all of a sudden, you don't need the Band-Aids. Because what happens when you get older? Do you still put Band-Aids on everything? No. If you're a rough and tough sort of guy or a mechanic type person, you just let the blood run down and you're like, "Yeah, it's good." No, because here's the thing. If you don't start to take off the Band-Aids, nobody sees the scars. And the scars prove that something really happened and you were changed. To be continued.